Hi students, welcome back to video lecture series. So in this lecture we will discuss biology's first chapter, that is the living world. So in this chapter we will be discussing about the characters of living organisms and the difference between living and non-living, and so we'll be discussing about classification of living organisms, and this is the introduction chapter which introduces how the living organisms are classified, and how the living organisms uh, got evoluted, and how they are being classified into different taxa. So all those things we'll discuss in this the living world chapter. So I hope you are enjoying the video lecture series. So this is the another video made by Muhammad Usman Khan. So in this lecture we'll discuss the characteristics of living organisms. So this is the first lecture. I hope all of you have subscribed the channel. If you have not subscribed the channel, please subscribe the channel and share as much as you can. And these videos, these conceptual videos will be helpful for most of the students to acquire conceptual knowledge of zoology. So if you need any particular topic, if you need any explanation, any clearance in the topic, in the conceptual understanding, if you have any problem in any topic, please let me know so that I'll discuss, I'll make a video on that also. So we'll go into the topic. As you know that here is a quotation for you. Study is the only thing you can do to change your life. So as you are the students now you can do only to study. But this study will definitely change your life. So now as you are in a position of as you are in the stage of a student, so this study will definitely change your life. So to change your life, no need to do go outside, and no need to do any other thing. Now you need to study, definitely your life will change. So the topics to be covered in this lecture are characteristics of living organisms. So the topics to be covered in this lecture are the characters of living organisms, growth, nutrition, movement, reproduction, excretion, irritability, respiration, metabolism. So all these characters, all these are the characters of living organisms. So in these characters of living organisms, growth, metabolism, respiration, irritability, excretion, reproduction, movement, and nutrition. So all these characters we'll be discussing in this topic very carefully and very clearly. So watch until the end of the video. You will come to know the definitions of all these characters, and what is the difference between living and non-living, and you'll also come to you'll also gain the knowledge of internal growth and external growth, and metabolism. In the metabolism we will discuss about catabolism and anabolism. So all these topics we'll be discussing in this lecture. So here the living world. So here it is the definition of life. So we need to understand the definition of life. It is unique complex organization of molecules that expresses itself through chemical reactions which lead to growth, development, responsiveness, adaptation, and reproduction. So understanding life is a very difficult task. Nobody can explain life in simple words, and in the only two words or one word there is no single sentence to explain a life. So it is here we are giving the definition of life here. It is a unique, complex organization of molecules that expresses itself through chemical reactions which lead to growth, development, responsiveness, adaptation, and reproduction. So, in the life, you will see the living organism which is having a life will have growth and it will have development, it will it will give response, and it undergoes adaptation, and it will show reproduction also. So these are the characters of living organisms. These are the characters of living organisms. Definite shape and size. A living organism will have a definite shape and size, and it will have proper organization, and it will show growth and development, and you can see here it will show metabolism, it will show reproduction, and it will show homeostasis. And living organisms only will have consciousness, and they will adapt to the environment, and they will also show evolution, repair and regeneration, aging and death. All these are the characters the living organisms will show. Definite shape and size, organization, and growth and development. So we'll discuss all these things topic by topic. You need to watch the video very carefully so that you can understand all the concepts very clearly. So the first one is in the characters of living organisms, definite shape and size. Living organisms have definite shape and size which may change within a narrow range. Due to this property, living organisms are called morphous. Non-living matter is termed amorphous. So living organisms have definite shape and size which may change within a narrow range. Due to this property, living organisms are called morphous. And morphology, all those words are explained as the living organisms have definite shape and size. So organization, it is differentiation of a body into smaller units and subunits which are arranged in an orderly manner. Due to presence of organization, a living being is called organism. Growth and development. Growth is permanent and irreversible change in the size of a cell. Growth is permanent and irreversible change in the size of a cell on an organ or whole organism, usually accompanied by increase in dry weight, mass, and number. So development is the sum total of changes that occur in an organ or organism during its lifetime. Development is the sum total of changes that occur in an organ or organism during its lifetime. So what is the development? Development is the sum total of changes. If the body is changing during its growth, if an organism is changing, you can see that all organisms, all the living organisms will have a change in when they are growing. They will show different shapes, they will show different growth, and every development will show a change in its body. Due to that changes only we tell that the organism is growing. So the changes that are taking place in an organism during its growth is the development. So in plants, growth continues throughout life as they have meristematic areas where cell division occurs regularly. You can see that in plants, growth continues throughout the life as they have meristematic areas where cell division occurs regularly. In animals, growth occurs up to a certain age, which after which cells divide only to replace worn out and lost cells. In all the animals, growth occurs up to a certain age only, after which cells divide only to cell division after which cells divide only to replace worn out and lost cells, and cell division is restricted to only some areas. Three processes are involved in growth, that is cell division, cell enlargement, and secretion of apoplasmic substances. So in growth and development, you can see there is intersusception and accretion. So we need to understand these terms very carefully. These are very important terms which are asked many times in the competitive exams. So what is this? We'll see. Intersusception. Living organisms show internal growth due to addition of materials and formation of cells inside their body. So living organisms show internal growth due to addition of materials and formation of cells inside their body. Accretion. Non-living articles increase size due to addition of similar materials on their outer surface. So this is the difference between the growth of living and non-living. So in living organisms, growth is internal. So the growth is internal, and also the growth is due to addition of materials and formation of cells inside their body. And in accretion, that is for non-living organisms, so if this is a stone and the additional materials are added from outside on its surface, and after few years the size, after many hundreds of years, the size of the stone increases. But in the living organisms, cells are added from inside. So after many years, what happens? Cells are added and the body shows growth. It becomes outside. So I hope you understood the difference. We need to have clear concepts regarding intersusception and accretion. So now, growth producing substances. So growth producing substances, protoplasmic, apoplasmic. These are components of living matter like cytoplasm and nucleus. Growth producing substances, you have protoplasmic and apoplasmic. So protoplasmic is nothing but these are the components of living matter like cytoplasm and nucleus. Apoplasmic these are the non-living materials formed by cells, that is such as cell wall, bone matrix and fibers. So all these are non-living materials secreted by living cells. These are called apoplasmic substances. And protoplasmic substances, these are the substances which are present in the cytoplasm and the nucleus. So these help in the living cell. These help the cell to show its living processes. So metabolism, it is sum total of various biochemical reactions occurring in a cell. It is a sum total of various biochemical reactions occurring in a cell. So in metabolism, all the reactions which are occurring in our body are included under metabolism. They are called metabolism. And it is a defining property of all living organisms. This metabolism is a defining property of all living organisms. So in all the living organisms, whether it is a single-celled organism or a multi-celled organism, or it is a simple organism or a complex organism, so from starting from simple to the complex organisms, in all the cells, they show all various metabolic biochemical reactions, whereas metabolism includes anabolism and catabolism. So metabolism includes anabolism and catabolism. So here we will see the difference between anabolism and catabolism. So anabolism is it is also called constructive metabolism. Constructive. So constructive means after the process, the biochemical reaction in which a complex substance is formed, a complex substance is constructed, then it is called anabolism. That reaction is taken under anabolism. So it includes all the building up reactions. It involves a synthesis of complex synthesis. It involves a synthesis of complex substances. Example, photosynthesis. And catabolism, it is also called destructive metabolism. It is called destructive metabolism, and it includes all the breakdown reactions. It involves breakdown of complex substances. It involves breakdown. So all the reactions in which complex organisms are broken down into simple organisms, they are called they are included under catabolic reactions. So examples: respiration and digestion. So here in our body there are different reactions. All the reactions in which complex or substances are broken down, it's called, they are included under catabolic reactions. And all the biochemical reactions in which a complex substance is formed is called anabolism. So reproduction, it is also a important character of living organisms, living beings. So it is formation of new individuals of similar kind. Life arises from pre-existing life. It is not essential for survival of individuals. It is not essential for survival of individuals. It distinguishes living from non-living, but it is not a defining feature of life. It is not a defining feature of life. Two main strategies of reproduction are asexual reproduction and sexual reproduction. So in reproduction, you can see that the living organisms undergo reproduction, and it is for the formation of new individuals of similar kind is called reproduction, but it is not essential for survival of individuals. Without reproduction also a living organism can survive. A living organism can be called as a living organism without reproduction also. It is not a defining feature of life. So two main strategies of reproduction are asexual and reproduction and sexual reproduction. Homeostasis, it is maintenance of constant and favorable internal environment. It is the maintenance of constant and favorable internal environmental conditions suitable for functioning of body organs. We need to understand this word very clearly. It comes in all the syllabus, and wherever you come across this word, this is a very basic terminology which we are discussing in this lecture. So homeostasis, it is the maintenance of constant and favorable internal environment, constant and favorable internal environmental conditions suitable for functioning of body organs, So to maintain a suitable internal environmental conditions which helps for the proper functioning of the body is called homeostasis. So this consciousness, it is a very important and very defining feature of living organisms, that living organisms only will have this response to the external stimuli. So consciousness, what is the consciousness means? It is awareness of surroundings and response to external stimuli. Stimuli are perceived by sense organs. So stimuli can be physical, chemical and biological. So the visible change or reaction which an organism produces as a result of applied stimulus is called response. So if an organism is showing any change due to a organism is showing any change due to due to the surroundings, then that change is called a response. So plants do not have sophisticated sense organs. Plants respond to external factors like temperature, light, moisture and pollutants, and touch also. Example: folding of leaves in Mimosa pudica occurs due to external stimulus of touch. Human beings have self-consciousness, awareness of self. So no other animal is having that much of self-consciousness as human beings have. Human beings are the only highly evolved living organisms. They have self-consciousness. Okay. So it is a very important feature of living organisms. And here is another character of living beings, adaptation. So useful inheritable changes in form, function and behavior. Useful inheritable changes in form, function and behavior which enables an organism to adjust well and successfully in its environment. So adaptation means a useful inheritable changes in form, function and behavior which enables an organism to adjust well and successfully in its environment. If an organism want to adjust in a new environment, if it changes its body shape, or it changes its behavior, or it changes its form to adjust to that environment, then it is called adaptation. So it is a useful thing which is occurring in that organism, and it is a inheritable means that adaptation, that change which the organism had brought in itself will be inherited to next generation of that organism. So if the baby of a pigeon which has adjusted to a new environment, so the after a pigeon which has gone to a new place and adjusted itself and changed itself, so a pigeon which has got to new place and it had adjusted itself, so the baby born for that pigeon we need not to develop a new character. It will adjust as its parent. It will get those characters directly. So an organism is considered best adapted to an environment when it possesses inherited traits that enhance its survival and breeding in that environment. An organism is considered best adapted to an environment when it possesses inherited traits that enhance its survival and breeding in that environment. So if an organism when an organism is considered a best adapted means if it has got a characters from its parents which are well suited to survive in a new environment, then it is called best adapted. So short term and long term adaptations. So you can see the difference between short term and long term adaptations. So these appear for a short period. Short term adaptations appear for a short period to overcome specific stress or in response to a particular season. These disappear as soon as stress period is over. These are either heritable to acquired and have little role in evolution. And so what are the long term adaptations? These develop in response to struggle for existence in order to survive. These are long and remain present all the time. These are always heritable and have a major role in evolution. So as we have discussed here, short term adaptations and long term adaptations. So short term adaptations are for a smaller period, and they are for to adjust a stress in a particular season, and they disappear as soon as the stress period is over. But long term adaptations are the adaptations for struggle for existence, and these are remain for lifelong. So short term adaptations, most amphibians, reptiles and some mammals hibernate during unfavorable conditions. So during unfavorable conditions, some animals, some amphibians, reptiles and some mammals, they undergo hibernation. Hibernation is also called as winter sleep, and most of the organisms which cannot withhold that low temperatures, they burrow themselves under the soil, and their metabolism is slowed down, and they utilize stored nutrients to obtain energy. Long term adaptations. Class of different birds are well adapted to suit their perching habits. So class of different birds are well adapted to suit their perching habits, such as clinging and climbing claws are for woodpecker, striking and catching claws are for hawk, perching for pigeon, and running claws for ostrich, and swimming claws for duck. So these are characters, all these characters are long term adaptations, they are not short term adaptations. So as they are developed for the survival for their existence. So another important character, that is evolution. It means to unroll or unfold. It means to unroll or unfold or reveal hidden potential. Darwin defined evolution as descent with modification. So the living organisms undergo evolution. Evolution is nothing but changes. So living organisms undergo changes. So we are not similar to our ancestors. Our ancestors were having strong arms and very good height, and they were very strong. The ancestral workers used to lift a 100 kg or 200 kg 100 kg price bag a single worker used to lift. But nowadays we are not having that strong muscles. So every time living organisms undergo evolution. So repair and regeneration, it is the ability to repair or renew. It is the ability to repair or renew damaged or lost parts in the post embryonic life of an organism. All living organisms heal their wounds or repair the damaged parts. So this is a defining property of living organisms, repair and regeneration. So here is another property, that is aging. So it is a progressive decline or deterioration in structure and function of an organism. So study of aging is gerontology. Gerontology is the study of aging. Aging starts before birth, biological aging. So before birth, aging starts. Death, it is ultimate termination of a functional life. So nobody can give a proper definition for death, and how the death occurs. Nobody can give a proper definition, the proper reason for it. A healthy person may also die. So it is the ultimate termination of functional life. So study of death is thanatology. Study of death is thanatology. It is most important regulatory process which prevents overcrowding and brings recycling of materials. So it is death is a most important regulatory process which prevents overcrowding and brings recycling of materials. So as if death is not occurring in any organism, living organisms, until now we would not have any space to live on this world. So you need to understand that all the living organisms which are born, so there is a as there is a birth rate for all the living organisms, there is a death rate also. If birth rate is not equal to death rate, then so most of the places, most of the land or most of the water or the earth might have been occupied by different living organisms, and there is no space for human beings to live in it. So death rate, it is most important regulatory process which prevents overcrowding and brings recycling of materials. So due to death, most of the uh, nutrients, most of the nitrogen compounds and carbon compounds, they get buried into the soil, and that nitrogen compound, that nitrogen, that ammonia will be taken by the plants, and it helps in the recycling of materials. So death is also of two types: clinical death and biological death. So in clinical death, what happens? Heartbeat stops, pulse stops, breathing stops, and pupils dilate. So pupils dilate, breathing stops, pulse stops, and heartbeat stops. So this is the clinical death. And what is happening in the biological death? What is called a biological death? So it refers to stoppage of functioning of brain. If the brain functioning is stopped, then it is called biological death. And there are different terminology here. You need to understand this terminology. So what is pallor mortis? Pallor mortis. Pallor mortis means it is paleness which happens after death. Paleness of skin. So which happens after death. Livor mortis. So settling of blood in lower portion of body. So in the lower portion of the body, the blood will settle, and blood cannot be pushed to upper parts of the body. So that is called livor mortis. Livor mortis. So pallor mortis, the body will become pale. Livor mortis, blood settles in the lower parts of the body. So biological death, algor mortis, reduction of body temperature following the death. So after the death, what is happening? So body temperature